Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of Apollo Justice, the Ace Attorney Trilogy. I hope that you guys are enjoying this series. Let's continue where we left off here. We are going to trial against Pheonix Wright now. This should be definitely a very interesting trial and the craziest prosecutor that we've probably fought against. But technically Pheonix isn't a prosecutor. May 17, 10:08 a.m. District Court. Defendant Lobby. Number 3. Just so you know, I'm not going to take sides. Message received, loud and clear. Good, because I don't like this one bit. You and Daddy should be on the same team. Sorry, Trucy. Wow, she's really mad. I'm sorry too, little lady. This is all my fault. I'm just worried things will never be the same between Daddy and Apollo. If they go through with this. Is that all? Well, I wouldn't worry about that. That's the way it is with us men. We may fight, but we don't burn bridges. Really? Sure. 1 minute we're trading blows, and the next we're having drinks together. We're simple creatures at heart. Ha ha ha. I sure hope you're right. Sorry I'm late, Apollo. Athena, there you are. What happened with you and Mr. Wright yesterday? Oh, about that. I ended up going to the wrong airport. Ugh. I was waiting there thinking his flight was really late, and before I knew it, I dozed off. By the time I woke up, it was already dark. I figured something like that, had happened. Being late and dozing off are the two things you do best. Guilty as charged. So then, I take it you have no idea what today's case is about? Not a clue, sorry. What is today's case about, if I might ask? Another locked room mystery. A suspect of a flimsy alibi? Oh, or a dying message? Sorry, strike 3. You're out. It's a civil case, yeah. So, for people confused, this is the first time that we've seen a civil case in an Ace Attorney game. And civil cases are different than criminal trials, because all the other cases were criminal cases. Basically, a civil case typically is a lawsuit. Or it could be, like in this case, is arguing over the possession of something, like a specific item. Like, you know, somebody might have died, for example, and they did not leave in their will who an item should belong to, and there might be, like, different family members or different parties that might be arguing that the item belongs to me. So stuff like this does happen. But the difference is that nobody's going to prison. So if somebody, you know, loses the case, they're not going to prison. They're just gonna have to hand over the item. In this case, the crystal ball. But, basically, civil cases, you are not going to be, it's not going to be like a criminal case, because in a criminal case, the prosecutor has to prove that, the burden of proof is on the prosecutor, and the prosecutor has to prove that the defendant did the crime. Where, in a civil case, is both sides are trying to produce evidence, in this case for the possession of the item, to try to prove that the item belongs to them. So both sides will be presenting evidence that the item belongs to them. A civil case. You act like I'm speaking Swahili here. It's just the Write Anything agency specializes in criminal law, or so I thought. In civil cases, there are no prosecutors, right? Instead, both parties retain an attorney. Yep, that's true. So both are lawyers. Right. And the other attorney is someone you know very well. Really? Who? This is not gonna go well. The trial will begin shortly. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. Okay, let's do this. Apollo, wait. Who's the other attorney? And where is Mr. Wright? No time to explain. Let's go. Oh, okay. Right behind you. Yeah, this is gonna be... this is gonna be the... I want to see what the judge's reaction is gonna be to this, too. The judge, Day 1 court is now in session. Okay, all rise. Court is now in session. Oh, is this some sort of practice session? A mock trial, perhaps? No, it's not, Your Honor. It's the real deal, Your Honor. So then you two have had a falling out. I won't have you using my courtroom for that, you know. It's nothing like that, Your Honor. Exactly. It just so happens that we have different clients in this case.
I see. Well, here's to hoping this has no adverse effect on your working relationship.
You can't say that again. I had no idea we're going to be up against the boss today. You sure this is a good idea, Apollo? What? Do you want to switch sides? Honestly, rather be anywhere but here right now. Well, at least she is here. I'm really going to need her help. Mr. Justice. Yes? Don't expect me to pull any punches just because you're the opposing lawyer. As I said, the kid gloves are off. And come what, may, they'll stay off. Same here, Mr. Wright. If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get. Yeesh, you guys are really chomping at the bit, aren't you?
I don't mind a good fight between co-workers, just keep this civil case civil. Now then, if the plaintiff would take the stand, we may begin.
Oh my god, he's coming in with that too? Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. Noble Judge, members of the gallery, good day to you, I am Paul Addison. This is but the start of my epic campaign, and you all have the honor of witnessing it. I believe the youth of this country are our very future. Too long have they been looked down on and given the cold shoulder, so to them I say, ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can do for me. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Mr. Addison, what is this crazy contraption you're riding in?
So, basically, that was a parody off of JFK's speech. JFK basically famously said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And he's saying, you know, what you can do for me. So it's a parody off of JFK's speech. It's my custom-made election-winning campaign mobile. Beautiful, isn't it?
You're a witness at a witness stand, not a campaign podium, so come out of there this instant.
Oh, good. The judge has some sense. Oh my god, he even has a giant name tag. Oh my god.
Alright now, would the plaintiff's attorney, Mr. Wright, please explain the complaint filed against the defendant?
Mr. Addison's complaint against the defendant is simple. The defendant, one Dirk Sad Matty, stole my client's family heirloom, the Crystal of Ami-Fae. Mr. Addison merely seeks its return. This wouldn't have happened if that archaeologist hadn't kicked the bucket.
I see.
When you say kick the bucket, it means they died.
Well, Mr. Justice, let's have your opening statement if you would.
The defense asserts that the item in question is the Founder's Orb, a sacred relic from Karain.
Go on.
It seems someone asked an archaeologist, Dr. Archie Buff, to study the orb. Dr. Buff determined that it was a Karainese national treasure, known as the Founder's Orb. The very orb that was stolen from a treasure room in Karain several weeks ago.
Why yes, I saw a news report about that. The theft of the Karainese national treasure caused quite an uproar in the kingdom.
Well, we believe that it was not, in fact, a theft in the traditional sense, but rather that it was spirited out of Karain by someone for Dr. Buff to study.
You don't say. And?
Around that time, an acquaintance of the defendant learned of Dr. Buff. He made contact with the doctor, who agreed to hand over the orb. Apparently, the doctor wanted nothing to do with it once he learned it had been stolen.
It seems you even have a transfer agreement between both parties.
I know what Pheonix is going to say. Pheonix is going to say that that was under duress and threat, because remember that the transfer agreement, I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb to the Fine Dragons if I will come to no harm, so it's under threat. So, here's the thing is, any kind of written contract is void if it's under duress or threat. So, if you are basically threatened, if you are heavily pressured to sign something, if it is not on your own will, like, I'm trying to think of a good example of duress, what that might be. Like, you know, I'll give an example. An example of duress might be, for example, like the police holding you in an interrogation room and, like, not letting you leave when you should be able to leave, and then telling you the only way you will leave is if you sign a contract that states that you did it. That's under duress. And so that's like any kind of, contract, any kind of written agreement that is signed under duress or a threat is typically void. Almost always void. Because the person didn't do it on their own, free will. They were forced. Mr. Sadmati also agreed to return the Founder's Orb to the Kingdom of Karain. Once the doctor verified it was the real thing.
I see. So this dispute centers on whether the item in question is the Founder's Orb or the Crystal of Ami-Fe. That, in turn, will determine the object's rightful owner.
I better bring my A-game. Going up against Mr. Wright won't be a walk in the park.
Come to think of it, the name Dirk Sadmati sounds awfully familiar. But I can't recall where I've heard it.
Oh, it's probably your imagination, Your Honor. He's just a tourist after all.
My imagination, you say?
Are you sure about this, Apollo? He's a wanted criminal in Karain, isn't he? In Karain, yes. Here, he's just a tourist. Technically, that's true.
Very well, let's begin the proceedings. Bailiff, will you bring in the first witness?
Who's the first witness? Oh, it's Emma? Emma? Show some manners, we're in court. I know, it's just... This is a civil trial, so I was surprised to see a detective take the stand, yeah. I had her do some digging on Dr. Buff. What for? You disappoint me, Apollo. First, you know I'm not just a detective, I'm a forensic scientist. Do try to remember that. Second, you owe Mr. Wright an apology. After all he's done for you. So you have some nerve. First, I'm sorry. And second, I'm really just trying to do my job. You'll never get anywhere with that attitude. Take some advice from someone who's been there. Why do I feel like I'm on trial here?
Detective Sky, your testimony, if you please.
Okay, let's see here. What is she gonna say? The doctor's dark secret. What is this? The police have had their eyes on Dr. Buff for some time. And just today, a number of stolen artifacts were discovered in his study. Among them were a priceless urn and a statue that were stolen from the Fae clan. It seems the doctor would do anything to study artifacts, including steal them. As for the relic at the center of this dispute, he likely stole it from the Addison residence. The doctor is a thief? Why am I just hearing about this now? Well, cat burglar isn't something he put on his resume. He was more careful than that. But the fact is, he was a classic treasure hunter. Treasure hunter, huh? Like people who have their thrilling adventures in exotic places, risking life and limb for glory. I doubt Dr. Buff was the star of his own hit movie series, Athena. Out of respect for the dead, I will say that Dr. Buff wasn't doing it to get rich. Apparently, he only wanted to borrow artifacts to study them. He would then return them as soon as his research was finished. According to the doctor's child, he would even repair or restore some of the artifacts he stole before returning them. He believed he was honoring the dead by discovering their history through artifacts. But whatever lofty ideas he held, it makes no difference. Larceny is larceny, that's theft.
Yes, he certainly sounds no different from a regular thief to me.
So let's say for a moment that the doctor really did moonlight in stealing artifacts. Might he not have stolen the Founder's Orb in Karain and brought it back here himself? Nope. There's no record of him traveling overseas over the past few years. Plus, he couldn't very well leave his reclusive child at home all alone.
And this really must be the Crystal of Ami-Fe.
Yes, he stole it from the Addison residence, probably so he could study it. This is the left hook I did not need. I bet you never saw that coming, Apollo. Yeah, when Mr. Wright said the kid gloves were off, he wasn't kidding.
Mr. Justice, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Oh, look at the icon. You see Apollo versus Pheonix. The Doctor's dark secret. The police have had their eyes on Dr. Buff for some time.
Hold it!
How exactly did Dr. Buff arouse the suspicion of the police anyway? Chalk it up to good old-fashioned sleuthing. After investigating countless artifact thefts over the past few years, the police finally zeroed in on him and the Doctor became their prime suspect. A number of those artifact thefts occurred in Karain Village too, if I might add. And they started right around the time the Doctor moved there. But he was never arrested. I take it there was nothing concrete linking him to a crime? No, which is why we were never able to get a search warrant in the first place. It's hard to arrest artifact thieves unless you catch them red-handed. Still, the police had him under constant surveillance. And just today, a number of stolen artifacts were discovered in his study.
Hold it!
Are you sure these allegedly stolen artifacts are the real deal? They're not fakes, that's for sure. Take the urn, for example. Apparently, it's an extremely intricate work of art. Its design cracks and other features would be impossible to replicate perfectly. Yeah, so that's actually real. The urn of Ami Faye, that was in the second Pheonix Wright game, in the original series. That was a major part of it. It was actually used to clear up an alibi for a murder. Actually, I've had a few run-ins with that urn myself. Yup, because Pheonix was during that trial. He remembered it. So I was shocked to see it there in the doctor's study. I can say without a doubt that urn was stolen from the Fae clan. And also, I will say this, is that, you know who got accused of murder in that case? Maya did. Maya got accused 3 times, so she was accused in 3 different, murder trials. I see.
Detective Sky, please continue with your testimony if you would.
Among them were a priceless urn and a statue that were stolen from the Fae clan. Were any other stolen artifacts found besides those belonging to the Faes? Yes. For instance, remember the large relief on the wall? It was chiseled out of some ancient ruins in the Kingdom of Kharain several years ago. It's chiseled out. Didn't that damage it? Well, he did restore the parts that were so faded, so you could barely see them anymore. It seems he intended to return it someday, so one could say his intentions were good. But good intentions are a no get-out-of-jail-free card, that's a fact. If I might add, with respect for the deceased, the quality of the restoration was apparently exceptional. It seems the doctor invested a lot of money in hiring an extremely talented specialist. He sounds like a good man, who took a wrong turn somewhere. I guess Sarge takes after him in that way. Any further questions? If not, it seems the doctor would do anything to study artifacts, including steal them.
Hold it!
Had these alleged thefts been going on for some time? At least 5 years, as far as we can tell. All the recent thefts have been local. But before moving to Kharain Village, he had been stealing from ruins around the world. Dr. Buff was an international criminal. This data lends itself, but one conclusion: Dr. Buff was a thief. As for the relic at the center of this dispute, he likely stole it from the Addison residence.
Hold it!
You claim he stole a family heirloom from the Addison residence, but claiming something doesn't make it true. Unfortunately, it is true. How can you be so sure? A police report was filed concerning the theft. 1 year ago, in fact. What? A whole year ago. August 25th of last year, to be exact. Wow, that's actually right around now. The report states, and I quote, "The crystal of Ami Faye was discovered to be missing. From the Addison storehouse at 10 a.m., the storehouse lock had been picked. Signed, Paul Addison, Wimperson." If this is such a priceless artifact, why would you keep it only behind one lock that can be picked? Paul Addison, Wimperson. Wimperson is his... Oh, man, Wimperson.
Well, a year-old report certainly lends the plaintiff's claim credence. The doctor really could have stolen the crystal of Ami Faye.
Not only that, Your Honor, but the Founder's Orb was only found to be missing several weeks ago. That is nearly a year after the crystal's theft was reported. Therefore, I believe we must consider the orb and the crystal to be 2 separate items. Paul Addison Wimperson, not the most awe-inspiring tail end, is it? I can see why he cut it. Not that he inspires confidence without it, still, I'd probably do the same in his shoes. Robbery report. A report filed a year ago by one Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson for the theft of the crystal of Ami Faye. A police report was filed about the crystal's theft a year ago. But the theft of the Founder's Orb was only reported a few weeks ago, so the crystal's police report was filed way before the orb was found missing. That suggests the stolen relic is the crystal of Ami Faye, as Mr. Addison whimpers and asserts. What if it was taken to Karain? Is that a possibility? I doubt the police report is a fake. After all, Emma is the one who submitted it as evidence. Still, I feel like something we learned in that police report is important somehow. Let me look at the police report. The crystal of Amife was discovered to be missing from the Addison storehouse at 10 a.m. The storehouse lock had been picked. Storehouse. His poor eyesight? Wait a second, I just realized something. Why were his glasses on the table if he climbed the bookshelf? If he could barely see without the glasses, why were his glasses on the table then? storehouse lock had been picked. I'm missing something. There's something I'm missing here. What am I missing?
Objection!
No, yeah, this is wrong. Okay. I think it's the glasses, probably. Let's see if it's...
Objection!
No, it's not the glasses either. Damn, I'm doing bad. I just started this case and I'm doing terrible. Okay, is it just me or does that statement sound a bit dubious? You know what? You're right. Thanks, Athena. Anytime. I'm gonna take another look at the evidence. The doctor would always return stuff to where he found it, right? So what if he returned it to where it originally was? Yeah, it's the orb, probably.
Objection!
No, it's not. No, no, Okay.
Objection!
Is the email, then. The doctor stole the relic from the plaintiff. Are you sure? Because that statement doesn't agree with a certain piece of evidence. What do you mean? Take a look at this. What about it? This contains an email from the doctor's computer.
Email? In that little piece of plastic?
Don't tell me I haven't seen a USB stick before.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, this stick here can store all sorts of computer data.
I still don't get it.
Here, just look at this. Apparently, the doctor is reporting his research finding to a certain individual. Now, take a look at this. It's a police report Detective Sky presented to this court. You can see the plaintiff's legal name on it. Oh, wait. Paul Addison, yes, I see it now. Paul Addison Wimperson, the P-A-W. That was hard. That was hard figuring that out. Yes, that was hard. Paul Addison Wimperson.
I can see why he dropped Wimperson from his name, but that's hardly breaking news.
Look closely, Your Honor. Ah, his initials. Right. The plaintiff's full legal name is Paul Addison Wimperson. Now consider this. The email's recipient address starts with 3 letters. P-A-W? Ah! Don't tell me. Oh, but I will anyway. Oh, but I will anyway. The individual who hired a doctor to study a disputed item is none other than Paul Edison Wimperson. Wait, then that means... Exactly. He wouldn't have asked the man who stole his family heirloom to study it. Therefore, how could this possibly be the crystal of Amife? Ah! We never checked the doctor's emails. How could you not? We couldn't even figure out the password to his computer. The plaintiff willingly left the orb in the doctor's care so he could study it, at the behest of his benefactor. Wait. Then what about the police report? I have all the details of the theft right here. It's probably for another relic, the real crystal of Amife. He's just using the report as a way to claim that our orb is actually a stolen crystal.
Objection!
And how are you so certain that PAW refers to my client's initials? Maybe the email's recipient was a dog lover. Well, you can track the email. Perhaps. So let's get to know your client a little better, shall we? Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson. Heh. I suppose shutting down detractors is all part of a politician's job. Answer me this, Mr. Addison Wimperson. What is... birthday, probably. 7-11 there. Your birthday. Most people put their birthday into there. What is your birthday? My birthday, it's July 11th. But what is it to you? There we go, we got it. And that's the funny thing about this is whenever I play any kind of online games, I usually just guess how old people are, and I'm usually right, and they freak out, and they're like, how did you know? And I'm like, well, you have your year in your name. So oftentimes when people have their year in their name, it's like it's like they think that people aren't gonna figure it out, but you tend to know it pretty quickly. So people will have like 1990 in their name, like, you know, 2000 in their online name, their email and stuff like that. And maybe sometimes it's a coincidence, but a lot of times people will put their birthday year into it, and so it's pretty easy to guess how old somebody is a lot of times by their email, their online name, etc., just because they're putting the numbers of their year at the end. Oh, I see. You can address birthday gifts to my office. But full disclosure, I only accept gifts valued at $1,000 or more. Why has everyone gone silent? How can anyone be that self-centered? Oh, right, politician. Did everyone hear that? He said July 11th. July 11th, or rather 7-11, matches the numbers in the email address. Both the name and birthday are a match. I hardly think that's a coincidence. Wait. Wait, you sneaky little... Looks like someone finally decided to join the conversation. Would the plaintiff care to explain? I would like to say that is quite what? Quite a thing, you said. Any other thoughts? No further comments. I stand by my previous statement.
Hold it!
You can't just walk away. Even politicians have to explain themselves in a court of law. I'm afraid I simply don't know how it happened. I can't possibly explain matters outside of my purview. Perhaps it was a mistake on the part of my secretary. Oh, no, you don't, you slippery eel. Mr. Wright, would you care to respond? I won't argue your assertion. My client lent the treasure in question to the doctor and asked him to study it. It seems that much is a fact. Now we're getting somewhere. However, it has no bearing on the issue of ownership. How so? Mr. Addison, I fully understand your position here. You had to hide the fact that you sent the crystal out to be studied. Your family would have been very upset if they had found out. It's a family heirloom after all. You've got to be kidding me. Mr. Wright is, well, right, of course. But then, he always is. That's why he's my lawyer. The crystal is a precious Addison family heirloom, and has been for centuries. But Dr. Buff was so eager to study its proud heritage, I just couldn't say no. I didn't even tell my grandfather.
Objection!
But in order to win the backing of your so-called benefactor, you were going to give what you claimed to be the crystal of Amife to the person. You were going to give a precious family heirloom away, just like that. I was going to explain everything to my grandfather later, honest. My client's grandfather is very proud of his grandson following in his footsteps, and if refusing him would have meant dashing the dreams of his darling grandson, I doubt the kindly old man could have said no.
Well, grandchildren are meant to be spoiled. That's what grandfathers are for.
Your Honor, please, I mean, it's been in the family for centuries. My grandfather thinks highly of my talents as a politician. That's why he entrusted me with this very important name placard today. So I'm sure he would have been okay with me using the crystal as I saw fit. Grandpa's spoiled little brat. I think the judge is buying it, Apollo. No surprise there. He always, going on about his own grandchild, after all. Excuse me, can I leave now, Mr. Wright? I believe my work here is done. By all means, Detective Sky. Thank you for your assistance. You're welcome. It's nice to testify at a civil trial once in a while. See you around.
It seems the facts have changed somewhat. Mr. Addison Wimperson apparently lent his family heirloom to Dr. Buff. Mr. Justice, how would the defense like to proceed?
Oh, alright, now what? Apollo, let's hear what they know about this so-called Crystal of Amife. Maybe we can find some inconsistencies in their statements. Right? Okay then, Mr. Wright. If the item in question really is an Addison family heirloom, then let's hear all your client knows about it. Of course. Mr. Addison Wimperson, please tell the defense everything you know about the crystal's origin. Alright. Now then, listen and learn. This is the tale of the Crystal of Amife, and the illustrious history of the Addison clan. Are you ready? No. Our story begins back in the old country when the Addison family reigned supreme. The illustrious history of the Addison clan. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals. Some discriminated against them, you see, while others tried to abuse their power. As thanks, Amife gave the crystal she had specifically made as a gift to him. I'm a descendant of that great lord. As such, my political power and influence is backed by centuries of history. Also, here's the thing is, just because you're a direct descendant of somebody does not mean that you can claim ownership of something. So there's a legal process to it. It could have been sold, it could have been transferred to somebody else. So just because you claim that like it was like your great grandfather's, that it was like you're a descendant of that person, does not mean that you actually have the right to the item. It could, it depends, but just because you are related to somebody that owned the item could have gone for multiple people, could have been sold by that descendant of yours. So just because you're the descendant does not mean that you are in legal possession of the item. Well, that devolved into a great lord of self-aggrandizing propaganda fest. As you can see, the Crystal of Amife is an heirloom of the esteemed House of Addison. And you have proof that it has always been in the Addison family. I have someone who gave a statement to that effect. My client's neighbor, one Ivis Shinado, age 85, gave the following statement. The Addison showed me the crystal back when I was but a lad.
Objection!
That's hearsay. Can we really trust the memory of an old man? Because you don't have the old man here. You're basically saying this is what this old man told me and wrote it down on the paper. You can't do that. You have to bring in the person here. Mr. Justice, would you care to explain that statement to the judge? I didn't mean. What I'm trying to say is,
Never underestimate the memory of your elders. I may forget my verdicts the next day, but the memories of my past are clear as day.
That's not good for you, Judge.
Therefore, I find Mr. If Shenado, does that mean anything? Statement to be perfectly credible. Wow, did you see how Mr. Wright got the judge on his side? That's definitely a trick I want up my sleeve. You're not helping, Athena. You may cross-examine the witness, Mr. Justice.
The illustrious history of the Edison clan. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler.
Hold it!
That object you set down there, is it something of importance to you? It's a name placard. This one here belonged to my grandfather, Abraham, Addison. He had it custom made during his distinguished political career. It's special because it was crafted from the finest Italian plastic. I wasn't aware that the Italians were famous for their fine plastic. You can touch it if you want. No, I'm fine. Very well. I'll just continue with my testimony. My ancestor was praised benevolent ruler, but he was also an eminent politician. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals.
Hold it!
So I take it the relationship with the Fae clan was a close one. A smooth and open line of communication with my entire electorate. That is the Paul Addison way. Huh. Oh, sorry. I was asking about your ancestor. Heh. Whether it's about me or my ancestor, feel free to ask me anything you'd like. Transparency in government, that's the Paul Addison way. Yeah, sure. More like dodging questions, that's the Paul Addison way. Thanks, I'll be sure to ask when I have something you'll actually answer. As I was saying, the Addison family protected the Fae spirit mediums back then. Someone discriminated against them, you see, while others tried to abuse their power.
Hold it!
Spirit mediums were targets of discrimination. Yes, some people even treated them like they were monsters. The transformation the mediums underwent when channeling spirits frightened the locals. And then there was those who tried to use them. You mean they sought to control the channeling powers of the mediums? Discriminating against the minority is absolutely despicable. A vote for me is a vote to end discrimination. I vow to root it out wherever it may be. That is my promise to you. He's totally ignoring your questions. It's like you're a moderator at a political debate. Yeah, and only he cares about his talking points. As thrilling as your campaign is, could we please get back to your testimony? As you wish. Now then, as for the crystal of Ami-Fae. As thanks, Ami-Fae gave the crystal she had specially made as a gift to him.
Hold it!
You said she had it made, so then it was made in Japan. That's right. They say she hired a famous craftsman to make it. And they say it's quite valuable, too. And you were going to take such a priceless family heirloom and just give it to your patron? That's so typical of you ignorant common types. Making difficult decisions when the chips are down is what being a politician is all about. But only when it's in the service of your own political career, you mean. The crystal is a testament to my ancestors' remarkable achievements. And furthermore, I am a descendant of that great lord.
Hold it!
So tell me, Mr. Addison Wimperson, are you famous in Crane Village? You could say that, but I find my popularity to be rather bemusing. Bemusing? Yes, my campaign posters keep going missing as soon as I put them up. My avid supporters and female fans are likely taking them home to hang in their bedrooms. No, they hate you. I guess ignorance really is bliss. Hehehehe. All this only proves my fine lineage. As such, my political power and influence is backed by centuries of history.
Hold it!
I'm sorry, but is any of that relevant to the issue of the relic's rightful owner? Have you never heard of King Craft? King Craft? It's the art of ruling as a king. My father drilled it into my head from a young age. And one of its precepts states, ruin awaits a ruler who responds to every single issue posed by the masses. Well, that answered my question about what he meant by king of this nation. Progress. Apollo, who is this Amife anyway? I believe she was the founder of the Crane channeling technique. The plaintiffs claim she had the crystal made for his ancestor. That would mean it was made in Japan, right? Yes, I suppose it would. Would we be able to, like, show the difference between, like, a Japanese and Koreanist orb? Minimum motive from Korean founding period. Oh, that! Right, that symbol right there. But which one do I show? Now I don't know which one to show. I'm guessing this one, the minimum motive. You see that symbol? Korean founding period. So that it was made in Korean.
Objection!
Oh, it was this one. Okay, good. You stated that Amife had the crystal made for your ancestor. So am I to assume it was made in Japan? That's right. The craftsmanship is unbeatable. Well, that's strange. I don't see how your so-called crystal could have been made there. What are you talking about? It's quite obvious if you take a closer look at this. What proves the orb wasn't made in Japan? This.
Take that!
Take a look at the distinctive design here. According to Dr. Buff, it's a minimum motive dating back to the early days of the Kingdom of Korean.
The Kingdom of Korean, And you base this on?
Here. This piece of evidence, Your Honor. These are the doctor's research notes on the Founder's Orb. This is the box in which the orb was originally stored. It features the same pattern as the one found in the orb.
They do look like the same pattern.
Therefore, I assert that the disputed item must have been made in the Kingdom of Korean. Ah! My placard!
Objection!
The Korean channeling technique originated in the Kingdom of Korean. And Amife is known to have traveled there to train. With that in mind, what's to say she didn't bring that pattern back with her?
Objection!
But since this is clearly a Koreanese design, not even you can deny the possibility that it was made there, in the Kingdom of Korean.
Objection!
Anything's possible to some extent, but doesn't make it true. So you can't conclude that the orb is from Korean based solely on that pattern. If it were that simple, I could just as easily say it's Japanese.
I have to agree with Mr. Wright. The pattern alone proves nothing. But that also means there's no basis to claim the item in dispute was made in Japan either. At this rate, we're going nowhere fast.
Ah, he's right. We're just spinning at our wheels here. I wonder if we have any evidence that could break this stalemate. Evidence that could break this stalemate. Exists. The defense would like to present a piece of evidence to this court. A piece that will finally break the stalemate. Oh. Well, you sure piqued my interest. Let's see what you've got. Alright. I will now prove that this is, in fact, the Founder's Orb. The doctor would always return stuff wherever the item originated from.
Take that!
Hmm. Ah, great. Evidence that could break the the stalemate. Camera and a microphone. The drone?
Take that!
No. Ah. Because he would have recorded that it was proof that it was the orb. Damn. I'm gonna try does not exist. There doesn't seem to be anything we can use, at least. Not at this point. Well, unless we can find something, this trial won't be going anywhere. Ooh, that's much better. What's his deal? I have a suggestion. Why don't we consider this from a different angle? I'm listening. What if the Defiant Dragons really were authorized to take possession of the relic?
I'm afraid I don't know where you're going with this, Mr. Wright.
Consider the orb transfer agreement, which states, I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb to the Defiant Dragons if I will come to no harm. What if, as the last part suggests, this was written up under duress? Oh! He said exactly what I said. Oh my god, wow, Pheonix is good, yep. He said exactly what I said. That would render the agreement null and void. Oh my god, I literally called it. I called it early in the case that he was going to say that. I called it. What are you suggesting, Mr. Wright? While you were on your little cave expedition, I was investigating Dr. Buff's accident. And there was something you overlooked, Mr. Justice. Namely, that his accident might have actually been murder. What? Murder?
Mr. Wright, you do realize such statements are not to be made lightly. Are you suggesting the Doctor was murdered by the Defiant Dragons?
Yes, but follow me on this for a second. The books that came tumbling down were from the archaeology show. However, among the mountains of books, a single volume on psychology. What's more, there was some blood on it. And you feel this is important because... the books that came tumbling down were from the top shelf, the archaeology books. We know this because the Doctor's books were meticulously organized by subject. Archaeology took up the entire shelf, so that psychology book is completely out of place. Come to think of it, the shelves were arranged quite carefully. It's also worth noting that psychology books only take up a tiny part of the bottom shelf. You might wonder why a book on psychology is found amid the pile of archaeology books, but I believe I can explain what that single out-of-place book was doing there. The Doctor was struck from behind while selecting a psychology book from the shelf. And that's when the blood got on the book? Precisely. And to make it look like an accident, he was buried under a mountain of archaeology books.
Objection!
Wait a second. This is all just speculation, right? Or do you have proof that it was murder? Of course I do. You do. On a hunch, I had Detective Sky examine the doctor's head wound. She found that he'd been struck by the corner of some object or another. Wait, what? A wound like that couldn't have resulted from a fall to the floor, you know. Do you understand what this means, Mr. Justice? That wound makes it crystal clear Dr. Buff was murdered. What? Well, that was unexpected. Who'd have thought we'd break out of the stalemate like this? He pulled a ladder right out from under us. Still, if he thinks that's enough to make me back down, he's got another thing coming. Even if the cause of death was murder, what makes you think it was the Defiant Dragons? You should know better than to hurl baseless accusations.
Objection!
Did you forget who you were up against, Mr. Justice? Huh? You didn't actually think I'd come to court without witnesses and evidence, did you? What are you talking about? I would like to request further testimony from the plaintiff. Specifically, I'd like the court to hear how he saw one of the rebels leaving the crime scene. He saw what? If he can prove it was murder, that's the end of our client's right to the orb. Did he have this up his sleeve the whole time? How can Mr. Wright do this to us? He was just waiting to spring this trap. Heh.
This trial has taken an unexpected turn. But I must mention, Mr. Wright, that you have yet to identify the murder weapon.
The object used to commit the murder was not located at the scene of the crime. The murderer likely disposed of it elsewhere. Dr. Buff was struck with the corner of some object. The time of death is between 10 and 11 p.m.
Well, I never thought we'd be deliberating the issue of murder at a civil trial.
And here's the thing is, you could be found innocent in a murder trial, but be found guilty in a civil trial. That's actually what happened to O.J. Simpson. So he won the criminal trial, so he couldn't be sent to prison, but he lost the civil trial, so he had to pay money to the victim's family.
Oh, well, all right, Mr. Addison Wimperson. Your testimony, if you please.
Heh, prepare to be dazzled. Dazzled by the charismatic oration forged in the crucible of campaign battles. The rebel's crime. That evening, I was walking alone, lost in thought. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Arabal. He was running out of the front door. It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of his crime. A vote for me is a vote to end such violence. That is my promise to you. That's the most, vague testimony that I've heard. So the plaintiff saw a possible suspect
Fleeing from the doctor's residence. And it was within the window of the estimated time of death?
That's Arabal. What in the world were you doing there, then? Addison saw Dax fleeing the scene the night of the murder. One of the books is stained with coffee. It seems Mr. Arabal was loitering about Crane Village that day. There's evidence he was in the doctor's study as well. So Pheonix is betraying Arabal right now? Isn't that right, Mr. Justice? Ha. You mean the suitcase. Exactly. He must have been in quite the rush to leave that behind. Oh, and by the way, Your Honor, Mr. Arabal just so happens to be sitting in the gallery today. Hack! See? That's him trying to escape as we speak.
Bailiff, don't let that man get away.
Right, you backstabber. Why are you doing this to me? Yup, he said that. He said it too.
Alright. The counsel/defense may question the plaintiff/witness once more. Please proceed, Mr. Justice.
The rebel's crime. That evening, I was walking alone, lost in thought. Hang on a second here.
Hold it!
This, I'm gonna say. But at that time, you didn't know the doctor was dead. Is that correct? It's true that I've been known as a prodigy from a very young age. Huh? I graduated high school and college with exceptional grades. As class president, I reformed stale old school traditions. My exploits were even covered in local papers. But as exceptional as I am, I can't possibly expect you to know everything at all times. This isn't working. He keeps bending the questions to serve his own needs. Hang in there, Apollo. Mr. Addison Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your exceptional nature. Now, would you please continue with your testimony? Hehehe. I have the upcoming election in the bag. The raincoat. I think it's the raincoat. Just in case, I'm gonna press him on all the other ones. Why were you taking a walk? Society is inundated with serious problems that must be solved. As a politician, I'm always on the job, thinking about what possible solutions, even on my walks. Thanks for the non-answer. While we live out our comfy lives, there are starving children who suffer in the back alleys of our major cities. It's not in me to ignore such suffering. A vote for me is a vote to end hunger and for world peace. My god, he just keeps using this for his campaign. Yes, Mr. Addison Wimperson, we are well aware of your outstanding character. Now please continue with your testimony. Hehehe. I can practically hear my poll numbers surging. Now on with my speech. After all, the voting public must be informed of the magnificence that is me. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Arable.
Hold it!
Where exactly were you when you saw Mr. Arable? Right here, under this tree. I saw him dashing out of Dr. Buff's front door. And he didn't notice you. No, I was hidden by the tree.
Is it really all that important to know from where the plaintiff saw Mr. Arable?
Yes, it is. Yes, I believe it matters a lot. I ask that it please be added to the witness's testimony.
Hold it!
What were you doing under that tree? A lack of lateral thinking. That is a politician's downfall. What? That is why, if I'm elected, I promise to think outside the box. The question was, what were you doing under the tree, Mr. Addison Wimperson? Heh, I suppose I can't expect a plebeian such as yourself to understand my grand design. Oh yeah, try me, oh lord of plebs. Mr. Addison Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your grand political vision. Now, let's have the rest of your testimony, if you please. Heh, I can hardly wait for the upcoming election. He was running out the front door.
Hold it!
Did you notice anything unusual? Yes, his behavior was incredibly suspicious. His eyes were darting all around as he ran in total panic. As soon as I saw that, I knew he had done something and it probably wasn't good. Despite that, you still didn't report it to the police. Who would have thought he had killed Dr. Buff? Not me. That's why I didn't report him.
So the witness didn't notify the police. Is that an important statement, Mr. Justice?
No, it isn't. No, it's not important.
Alright then. Let's have the witness continue with his testimony.
It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene. I asked, and then this one. Press on this one. So how do you actually intend to end such violence? Elite politicians as myself never reveal their strategies. Did you really think I would divulge such sensitive information to the likes of you? Yeah, but Surely you have some sort of campaign platform you're running on. No comment. Clearly, his is a platform told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. He saw Mr. Arbol from under that tree. Apollo, maybe there's some sort of an inconsistency there. I wondered. I was thinking, why don't we review the evidence? The tree, yeah. Maybe there's something we've overlooked. It looks like he's on the upper floor there. If he was under the tree, he probably would have seen the body too, wouldn't he have? I was under this tree when I saw Mr. Arabal. It's this statement, I'm confident in it.
Hold it!
Let me see what the statement is here.
Hold it!
You had no idea he was dead. In other words, you knew nothing about what had happened. I am truly ashamed of myself. What? There's been a gruesome murder in my beloved village. What a fool I've been. I was thinking only the village's future and world peace. It seems my earnest attitude and industrious nature have come back to haunt me. Only a politician would try to pass off self-aggrandizement as depreciation. Apollo, you think this is how all politicians will be from now on? We're all doomed if they are. If you don't mind, I'd like to continue with my testimony. Did you figure something out? Yeah, I think he's hiding something. Let's take another look at the evidence, Safina. If he was under the tree, he would have seen the... He would have seen the murder, too. I think it's this one. If he was under the tree, he would have seen the murder.
Objection!
I got it right. Mr. Addison Wimperson, Rather than Mr. Arabal, wasn't there something else that should have had your undivided attention? Like what? Oh yes, of course. A politician must also keep his finger on the electorate's, pulse, and... Sorry, but you're way off. I am.
Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice?
If the witness saw Mr. Arabal from his position here, then he should have also been able to see the doctor's body. After all, it was right next to a huge window.
Why, I believe you have a point there.
With the body that clearly visible to the witness, it's unthinkable that he wouldn't have reported it to the police.
Would the witness care to respond?
Did he fall asleep?
Mr. Addison Wimperson. Mr. Addison Wimperson!
Huh? Oh, there's many sides to any issue. What did I ever do to deserve this? In any case, I'd like the court to acknowledge the inconsistency in the witness's testimony. Mr. Addison Wimperson, did you really see Mr. Arabal? Yes.
Hold it!
No. Where do you think you're going? Oh, I thought I'd return to my seat, seeing as I'd already answered the question. This isn't some small town hall debate, so you just stay right there until I say we're through. I'll have to run that by my campaign manager before
Objection!
Glare. Mr. Addison Wimperson, I think it's time for you to come clean. Huh? So then, does this mean he didn't see Mr. Arabal? As your lawyer, Mr. Addison Wimperson, I advise you to divulge that matter we discussed. Silence is no longer an option. Are you sure about this? I'm in the midst of running for office. I can't afford to let any strange rumors get out. Don't worry, you won't suffer any blowback for what you're about to reveal.
Blowback? I'm not sure I like the sound of that, Mr. Wright.
Not to worry, Your Honor. Nothing untoward will come of this, I promise. Not in Mr. Justice. Remember how it was an anonymous caller that reported the doctor's death? Come to think of it, Emma, who was the first one to discover the body? About that, whoever it was, it seems they wanted to remain anonymous. What? It happens now and then. Some people would rather not get involved with the police. But why did he wait till the next day? Wait, you're not saying that... Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. The anonymous source who contacted the police after discovering the body was... my client, Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson. Well, what? You don't say. So you see, he played his part as a concerned citizen, quite admirably, if I may say so. Isn't that right? Yes, indeed. In our society today, there are too many who choose indifference over righteous action. But I don't number among them. That's why I did my duty as a concerned citizen. One might call me the model citizen, one worthy of standing above the rest. What a real standard bearer he is, reporting it anonymously. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Justice, wasn't there someone else to see the crime when my client discovered the body? Oh, you mean Mr. Arabal? He would have been leaving the doctor's house right around then. Wait, that means... Yes, it does. In short, what my client witnessed was Mr. Arabal fleeing the scene of a heinous murder. And that's not all. Based on what we've heard so far, Mr. Arabal looked exceedingly suspicious, and that's putting it mildly. We already know that the Fine Dragons threaten the Doctor with bodily harm. And now that they've killed him, the so-called orb transfer agreement is null and void. Apollo, if we don't come up with some sort of counter-argument. And what sort of evidence do you have? Can you actually prove that it was Mr. Arabal who killed the Doctor? That move had desperate written all over it. It's all I've got. So I'm going with it. Evidence? I suppose it's true that I don't have any. I knew it. But I do have another witness. You do. You should know that I always come fully prepared, Mr. Justice. And my new witness will provide testimony for proving Mr. Arabal's guilt. A new witness. I wonder who it could be.
Very well. Bailiff, please summon our new witness. In the meantime, the court will take a brief recess. I would like both sides to use time to prepare properly, understood?
May 17, okay. District Court. Defendant Lobby number 3. Wow, I knew Mr. Wright would put up a tough fight, but... yeah, just when I thought we had him, he turned the tables on us. He really is a turnabout terror. We can't let him blindside us again. Looks like they've got me again. 3 times in 1 year. That is a new record. Ha 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 ha. That's, please, no more new records or bad puns while you're at it. It's hard enough trying to help you as it is. Roger that, I'll be more careful next time. Is what Mr. Wright said true? Did you really pay a visit to Dr. Buff that night? Sure did. Can't remember the exact time, though. All I know is he wouldn't hand over the orb. Someone put in his head that we rebels were dangerous. That's why he threw me out. So the doctor was still alive when Mr. Datz last saw him. We'll still have to prove it, though. Better brace yourself, son. The next witness's testimony can make or break this case. Yeah, I know. Hey, where's Trucy? She went to go see her dad. Maybe she's still mad. More like worried. Worried that this trial will create a rift between you two. And that you might, then leave the agency. Ha ha ha. She has an active imagination. Excuse me, the trial will be resuming shortly. Well, let's go see what new testimony awaits us. May 17. District Court. Courtroom number 6.
Alright, court is back in session. Mr. Wright, you said you had a witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call the lone survivor of the doctor's murder to the stand. Lone survivor? The son. Oh, he can't mean that Sarge is here. You mean Dr. Buff's reclusive son. How did you get him to cooperate? Nothing a little persuasion couldn't handle. The poor child only agreed to help if it meant catching the killer. Getting a kid like that to overcome his fear. That's impressive. This must be really important testimony for the kid to come out in public like this.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please call your witness to the stand.
Oh my god, he's testifying in the drone.
Oh my!
Sergeant Buff at your service, sir.
He's here as a drone? Really?
Mr. Wright, what exactly is the meaning of this?
Past trauma has rendered it impossible for the witness to venture into public. Leaving home was hard enough, and it seems leaving the witness lobby was just too much. But I would still like to continue with testimony delivered via this drone.
I understand it must be terrible to lose one's father like that. But testimony via a remote-controlled toy? Well, let's take things for a spin and see how it goes.
Just who's piloting this trial anyways? The judge sure warmed up to the idea fast. I think the phrase you're looking for is gave up.
You know,
Oh, what? I couldn't even read that in time. Ah!
defending the man who killed Papa? That's full-on treason, soldier. I hereby demote you back to private.
Corporal Private? What's he talking about, Apollo? It's a long story.
Now then, are you ready to testify, youngster?
Locked and loaded, sir. Ready to rain lead down upon the perpetrator. Ha ha ha!
Trying to do Sarge's voice, it's hard. His accent is the hardest to do for me.
Papa met with someone the night he died. I didn't have eyes on the ground, as I'd already mounted the single defense, but... I did hear him arguing with someone in his study. From my window, I saw the one designated thos getting ejected from the premises. After that, the man lingered around the perimeter for some time. He must have regrouped and killed my papa in the study later. I just know it.
So he was thrown out, but later returned and committed the murder, did he?
Yes, Your Honor. So the man my client saw really must have been the fleeing Mr. Arabal. Objection! Right, you backstabbing no good. I didn't kill no one.
It's the enemy! Ready all missiles and fire!
Whoa!
Ha ha ha! Capitalist pig, I'll turn you into pork stroganoff. And that's a taste of my ultimate anti-swine weapon.
Whoa, fires missiles too.
Yes, well, the witness is all yours, Mr. Justice.
This has to be part of Pheonix's plan. Like, he has to have something planned up here. Because I can't imagine him accusing Mr. Arabal like this. What happened that evening?
Papa met with someone tonight, he died.
Hold it!
Your father met with someone. Could you be more specific?
No, I was in the middle of a crucial defensive siege operation.
Right. You're referring to how you don't leave your room, correct?
You never know when the enemy might be lurking outside the siege perimeter.
What about, you know, school?
Oh, I don't go to boot camp. I'm a soldier. A sergeant don't associate with rookies, still too green to fight.
With a kid like this, I bet Dr. Buff won't be getting any rest in the afterlife either.
It was very brave of you to come to the courthouse today. But what was that you said about a siege defense?
Oh, that? Well, I didn't have eyes on the ground as I'd already mounted my siege defense, but...
Hold it!
Sarge, I've always wondered. Who or what are you battling?
That's classified.
Even so, it may be relevant to this case.
Objection!
I don't know if you're the right person to be asking about things like that. That's right, such matters need to be handled with certain delicacy. Oh. Guess curiosity got the better of me.
You're all talking, no action, soldier. Out on the battlefield, it ain't the numbers of pretty words in your reporter, but the number of bullets in your gun belt that counts.
Easy for you to say. You're the one of all of them.
Would the witness please tell this court what he saw and heard that night?
I did hear him arguing with someone in his study.
Hold it!
What was the argument about?
I heard things like, "Where's the orb?" and "Are you Defiant Dragons really criminals?" It sounded real volatile, like a war might break out any second.
So the two of them had an argument when Dats came to get the orb. Did you see or hear anything else?
Yeah, I heard them arguing, and then silence. From my window, I saw the one designated thos getting ejected from the premises.
Hold it!
How is Mr. Arabal acting?
Like a conquered trooper retreating with his tail between his legs.
A trooper? Well, I guess he does dress like he's in the military. I bet those two would have really hit it off had they met under different circumstances. Yeah, I can see that.
And so, the defeated soldier was expelled. But that wasn't the end. After that, the man lingered around the perimeter for some time.
Hold it!
That does seem suspicious.
He kept hiding behind trees and telephone poles and stealing glances at her house.
Well, he couldn't exactly leave without the orb.
I bet he was angry that he'd been kicked out. He must have regrouped and killed my papa in the study later. I just know it.
Hold it!
But don't you keep your front door unlocked? If so, then anyone could have gotten in.
That's true. Papa didn't keep our house locked up. He said there was no need to because there was only good people in Crane Village.
Yeah, he ended up dead anyway.
Only a monster could do what they did to my kind, trusting papa. There will be no mercy. I vow swift and terrible vengeance. I'll carve upon the killer with everything in my arsenal. Fire!
Whoa!
While I sympathize with you, witness, you will refrain from firing Gatling guns in this court.
So Sarge saw Dats too. And just when I thought that things couldn't get any worse. Wonder why he hung around after being thrown out. I hate to say this, but if Dats is proven to be the killer, we'll lose the orb to the plaintiff. So our only option is to prove that the Flying Dragons had nothing to do with the murder. His room is upstairs, but we don't see any windows. This is tough. This is tough.
Objection!
No. It's not that one.
Hold it!
Let me see what he says here. Trees and telephone poles.
Objection!
No. Damn, this is so tough. These is tough. This is tough trying to figure out which statement is wrong here. Isn't there gonna be a microphone on this drone too? Yeah.
Objection!
No, damn. Damn, this isn't easy.
Objection!
No, wrong two. I'm gonna get a consult one here. This part is really hard. This part is really hard. Let me do consult, let's see. Or does that statement sound a bit dubious? You know what? You're right. Thanks, Athena. Anytime. Which statement is it that's... I didn't have my eyes in the ground, as I already mounted my siege defense, but... It's this one.
Objection!
No, no, no. But his drone is gonna have a camera, right? So...
Objection!
Okay, this. Sarge, are you hiding something from me? So, yeah, so his, Technically, I'm right that the drone had the camera and the microphone, but it just... matching up with the right statement.
How dare you question your superior officer like that? You want to get in this staying strong off action with your pig boy over there, soldier?
Sorry, but I'm afraid lawyers are missile-proof.
What?
Would the defense care to explain?
It's simple, Your Honor. Just as he is able to see what is happening in court right now, Sarge is able to see what was happening in the study den. With his cherished drone, of course.
Oh, now that you mention it. And to think, the answer was right before our eyes the whole time.
Sarge, you were perfectly capable of patrolling the study that night. So you must have seen something. Oh, whoa.
I'm hit. What is this strange new weaponry you're using against me?
Courtroom warriors don't use guns or missiles because evidence is our weapon of choice. And the evidence has exposed your bald-faced lie. My truth bomb, Sarge, has stripped your defenses bare.
Truth bomb. No! Ah! Mayday, mayday, I'm going down!
Oh my, are you alright?
Evidence. Never have I seen such fearsome ordnance.
Tell it to us straight, Sarge. After all, you want to help your father, don't you?
Papa.
Yes, you want to find out who killed him, don't you? So please, tell us what you saw that night.
It's not what you think. I didn't see anything. I swear.
You sure? You seem awfully stressed for someone who didn't see anything.
Urgh.
Sarge, you need to answer my question.
Shut your pie hole, maggot. It'll be a scorching day in Siberia before a lowly pirate like you orders me around.
What's with him in Siberia of all places? But if a scorching day is what it'll take, then maybe it's time to turn up the heat. Hey, Athena. You think there's a therapy session might help? Well, it could help alleviate some of his anxiety. Plus, I'm picking up a lot of discord in Sarge's voice. That usually means the patient wants to say something, but can't for some reason. And in Sarge's case, I imagine whatever's plaguing him is pretty severe. In that case, I leave it to you and your mood matrix magic. You got it. Your Honor, I believe I can be of help here.
Time for a therapy session, is it, Miss Sykes?
Yes, it will help the witness with his anxiety. Maybe even enough to testify.
Then by all means, please bring the poor child out into the light of day. Oh, but I assume this will be alright with you, Mr. Wright.
Why not? It's not like we all haven't been through this before.
What are you butting in for, lady? There ain't a place in this battlefield for you.
I beg to differ, Sarge. This G.I. Jane's always ready for a fight in the courtroom. And wait until you see what I've got in my arsenal, analytical psychology. With it, I'm going to blow a big old hole in the armor you've built around your heart.
First evidence.
Now analytical psychology? Where are these WMDs coming from? That's weapons of mass destruction.
Well, if it's a battle you want, bring it on. You may have started this war, but I'm going to end it. Corpse woman Sykes.
You got it, Sarge. Time to speak out the agony buried deep in your heart. Brace yourself. Okay, let's see what the mood matrix says about him. He's hiding something, but why? Why exactly is he hiding something? We're looking for emotions that don't make sense in this. I stayed in my room with my drone that evening. I heard Dats and Papa arguing with each other. Okay, surprised and sad. Dats had got kicked out, but I saw him hanging around outside. I was in my room, so I didn't know Papa was dead until the next day. Why is he sad if he's by himself? Here, hang on.
Got it!
I guess because he's like a loner, he doesn't like talking to people, so it kind of does make sense. Emotional fluctuation between different statements.
Got it!
That's strange. You reacted with shock when you discovered your father's body. Yet you weren't nearly as shocked then as when you saw Mr. Arable. Normally, you'd expect the death of one's father to be much more impactful.
Enemy fire! Direct hit.
That is strange. I wonder what it could mean. Well, we know he wasn't as affected by his father's death as he should have been. And I think I know why. Oh? Sarge, you weren't as shocked as seeing your father's body as seeing Mr. Arable because... You're scared of Mr. Arable. You've already seen his body. Something else shocked you. Sarge, maybe the truth is, you left your room that night. And that's when you saw it. Your father's body.
I saw no such thing.
Really? You didn't see his body? Alright then. What did you see? Look, Apollo, we've lost some noise. So just as I suspected, he really did see something. Sarge, please, tell us what you saw.
Oh.
But...
The moment I saw it, I couldn't bear it. I couldn't stand to lose yet another loved one.
Huh? Am I missing something here? Is that why you weren't very shocked when you found out your father was dead? Because you already sensed that he was a goner somehow?
Maybe.
Please, Sarge. What was it that you saw on the night of your father's murder?
I saw...
Ooh! What's happening?
I don't like where this is going.
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah! No more, please!
Eek! Help! What's going on?
I've confiscated your little toy. That battlefield has no place for unauthorized equipment.
Widget! Apollo, I can't continue the session without him.
Calm yourself this instant, witness. I hereby order you to submit to your therapy session. What in blazes?
What?
Look at me, I'm the judge, jury, and executioner now.
The drone took the gavel?
I hereby convene a military tribunal.
Whoa, this has gone way too far.
Bailiff, arrest that
Drone this instant.
Arr!
Stop resisting. Ah! If you don't come quietly, I'll fire! Ah! Give Widget back right now, Eric! What just happened? Ooh, finally got him back. Nice work.
This witness is truly a handful.
Oh, 2, 3, 4. Ooh.
Miss Sykes, what's the witness's current psychological state? Let's see. He's emotionally all over the map. So his out-of-control emotions are in control of him, huh? Does that mean we can calm him down if we can figure out the root cause? Yes. So let's see what we can find. Sarge, can you hear me?
Is that you, Corpsewoman Sykes?
I'm here. Now, I want you to take a few deep breaths. Just try to relax. Try it with me. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
In, out, in, out.
And now, let your emotions take you where they will. Go on, just let it all out.
Oh! All forces attack!
That's the least relaxing breathing exercise I've ever seen. Okay, his emotions are all over the place. Something's causing it. That's what's still, hanging around after he got kicked out when... What's causing this? I heard some more fighting and I got worried about Papa. So I left my room, but suddenly... I got dizzy and passed out. I remember a flame lighting up the room. And Papa grinning with delight. What? That's when he must have been killed. If only I hadn't passed out.
Got it!
That doesn't seem to be the cause of this current emotional state. I could use some clue. Person's personality and past shapes their emotional responses. Consider everything you know about Sarge. That's where you find the clues you need. Everything I know about Sarge. The fire.
Got it!
That's it. Sarge. You were overcome with shock and fear when you saw those flames, weren't you?
Was I?
Yes. Just 6 months ago. You and your mother were caught up in an arsonist blaze, yup. Is that he survived the fires, maybe he actually didn't see a fire. So it's no wonder you would be extremely scared of fire.
Yes, that does make sense.
And maybe, just maybe, your subconscious fear of fire was what caused you to withdraw from the world.
What do you mean, Corpsewoman Sykes?
In the outside world, you were bound to come across all sorts of fire. Candles, cigarettes, heck, even the grill at a diner. Even if it's not that often, just the idea that you might see them grew bigger and bigger until you couldn't shut it out.
I think you might be onto something. Candles, cigarettes, just thinking about them sends a chill down my spine.
Wow, the things I take for granted.
Now I see, I was afraid. Afraid of the fire. Strange, I didn't even realize it myself.
About that fire, Sarge, can you tell me what it was burning? To stay calm, maybe something will come to you.
Oh, Oh, I'm starting to remember. It was... It was that relic. That relic Papa was studying. It was on fire.
The orb was on fire?
Mm-hmm. It's still kind of fuzzy. But yes, the orb was burning right in front of Papa. And there, in the flames was... Mama? Yes, now I remember. I saw Mama appear amid the dancing flames.
Wait, what? Okay, this is getting creepy now. What's going on here? Maybe it's a memory from the fire that killed his mother. He might be confusing it with what really happened when his father died. So let me guess. More therapy. Yep. But this time, it seems there's an inconsistency in the statements. And I think we should be able to prove it with the evidence at hand. I hope this inconsistency is the key to proving that the relic really is the Founder's Orb. What's the inconsistency? I left my room but suddenly got dazed and passed out. The orb was in the ruins.
Objection!
The orb was in the ruins. Don't blame yourself, Sarge. After all, even if you hadn't passed out, the outcome would have been the same.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the time of death. Your father wasn't killed right after you left your room.
What? Explain yourself at once, Private Justice.
You said you saw your father burning the orb, right? But that night, he went out to hide it in a cave. So, what you saw, Sarge, was something that happened before your father left to hide the orb.
Ah!
So you see, you didn't pass out right before he was killed. You passed out right before he left for the cave to hide the orb in the ruins within.
So, even if I hadn't passed out...
That's right. The outcome would have been the same, exactly the same. That's because your father, Dr. Buff, was killed after he returned from the ruins. And therefore, Sarge, there's no need for you to blame yourself.
Oh, I see. Private Justice, can you really say I bear no blame in this?
Why do you ask?
Because the truth is, if I hadn't engaged in my siege defense, Papa would still be alive.
Sarge?
Papa wished nothing more than for me to lead a happy, healthy life. That's why he quit his job and moved us out, away from the big city. But even then, I didn't have the courage to set foot in the outside world. And in the end, I failed to make Papa's wish come true.
Sarge. If you want to make your father's wish come true, if that's what you really want, then who's to say it's too late? Why don't you take the first step now?
My first step.
That's right. You can cast off all your regret. You can stop standing still and start moving forward. You have the power within you. I know from experience. I know what it's like to feel like you do. But only you can decide to take that first step. If you don't change your tactics now, Sarge, the victory you seek in the war you're waging will always lie beyond your grasp.
I think I understand now. I've made up my mind. As of this moment, I will suspend my siege defense indefinitely.
Oh, that's him? Huh? Sergeant Buff reporting for duty. What? I thought you were a guy. You're definitely not the gruff drill sergeant I envisioned. Well, my mama was in the Russian army. I was just as shocked, but it certainly explained a few things when I found out, too. May I introduce you to Miss, Army Buff, age 12? No way. Careful, soldier. Don't forget I could blow you away at a moment's notice. She's just too cute. So, have you always been in a wheelchair, Sarge? Negative. Only since I was injured. In the fire.
Your voice sounds awfully different from before.
My drone features a voice modulation device. It says one of my army's many technological marvels.
Well, you fooled me. I thought some 20-something military fanatic was at the controls.
If it's all right, if it's all the same to you troops, I'd like to continue my testimony. I've just remembered something, and it's just as crisp and clear as a trumpet at roll call. What do you remember? It wasn't my mother who appeared in the burning orb. It was some lady Papa had shown me a picture of a long time ago. He said it was the Holy Mother, the founder of Karanism. She appeared right there, right in the burning orb. Huh. What did you just say? It was the Holy Mother. No one has seen the Holy Mother's face, remember that. The Holy Mother of Karanism was in the burning orb. What does that even mean? I have a bad feeling about this. Could it be? Could this explain what Sarge meant by the Holy Mother's appearing in the burning orb? Offer thy prayers as fervent as fire, only then the Holy Mother return, descending upon us in all her glory, the Founder bestows the greatest power known. The research notes?
Take that!
Dr. Buff's research notes. What do they have to do with this? Look at this. The burning orb, the appearance of the Founder. This part points to both. Yeah.
Take that!
There's a legend about the orb involving a mysterious riddle, and this song in turn is said to contain the key to solving it. If the legend is true, then I believe the answer lies in this part of the song. Offer thy prayers as fervent as fire, only then shall the Holy Mother return. Well, anyone see where I'm going with this? Prayers as fervent as fire. Ah! You're supposed to set the orb on fire. The whole stanza seems to suggest that the Founder will appear if the orb is set on fire. Wait. So the Doctor, he... Yes, Athena. He had solved the ancient riddle of the Founder's orb.
Oh my!
Papa was a great archaeologist. So I believe in him. And I want to believe. I want to believe he achieved his long-time dream of solving that riddle before he died. Well, we won't know for sure until we try it for ourselves. Yes, do it, Private Justice, please. I want to see what Papa was searching for with my own eyes.
Objection!
The plaintiff must object to this.
Objection!
The plaintiff will stand down and be quiet.
Objection!
You don't have the right to set a precious relic like that on fire.
Objection!
Oh, but I do. All I needed was Sarge's permission. Since we still don't know if this treasure is the Founder's Orb or the Crystal of Amife. Any ownership rights the Doctor had now belongs to his daughter. Therefore, you have absolutely no right to stop us.
Very well, Mr. Justice. I never thought I'd be saying this, but you may burn the evidence.
Oh man, that one's good. Alright, here we go. Let's see if we see the Holy Mother, then. This is gonna be scary. Look. Apollo. The inside of the orb is... It's melting. There's something in there. Ah! Dirk, isn't she? That's the seance, a song. Her garb leaves no room for doubt. It's the, founder herself. Face and all. I don't understand. The greatest of taboos in Koreanism is a depiction of the founder's face. Yet here it is. Hidden within this orb. Heating the founder's orb revealed the statue within. Sorry, Mr. Wright, but as you can see, the issue is crystal clear. This figure is the Holy Mother, founder of Koreanism. And based on that, this must be none other than the founder's orb.
Objection!
Be that as it may, Mr. Arabal still may have killed the doctor. If so, it would render the orb transfer agreement null and void. Don't play dumb, Mr. Wright. The truth of the matter has already been proven. Dr. Buff wasn't killed right after Sarge saw Mr. Arabal. It happened after the doctor came back from hiding the orb. And you've no proof that Mr. Arabal was still around at that time. Your claim that the Defiant Dragons were behind the crime doesn't hold water. And that means the orb transfer agreement is still perfectly valid. Arrgh. Admit it, Mr. Wright. I just burned your whole case to the ground. Oh. No! I won? Actually won?
Mr. Wright, would you care to respond?
Respond? I didn't think so. Wait, did we just win? Did we actually beat the Turnabout Terror? You're amazing, Apollo. Don't just stand there, right? Do something! Well... I don't think there's any digging out of this hole. Mr. Addison Wimperson, I think it's time for your concession speech. I have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the Founder's Orb. The facts don't lie, but you obviously do. How's that for a campaign slogan? Why, you contempt this peasant! And see, now you see what he actually thinks of the voters.
I think this is a good time to wrap up this trial. If both parties have no further objections, I will render my verdict.
No objections here, Your Honor. No object... Who just did hold it? You can't do this! The crystal is mine! I'll lose the election if I lose that crystal. I'm sorry. But there's really nothing more I can do. You haven't forgotten about our little chat, have you? What little chat? What's going on here?
Objection!
Your Honor, I object to the defense's last claim. What? I don't believe they have truly proven that this relic is indeed the Founder's Orb.
Objection!
Mr. Wright, I don't think even you could bluff your way out of this one. What possible argument could you have to claim that this isn't the Founder's Orb? About that. Oh, of course. He can't possibly have hit on something. The defense's assertion is incomplete. And this is why. Their claim that this relic is the Founder's Orb is based on a legend. And that legend claims that the Founders, will return when the riddle is solved at last. Right. And that's what happened. The Founder was revealed for us, for all to see. Mr. Justice, what about the rest of the legend? Huh? According to legend, once the Founder returned, she would bestow spiritual power onto the person who solved the riddle. You're kidding, right? You can't use that! Well, Mr. Justice, do you feel great spiritual power coursing through your veins? No. But receiving spiritual powers and stuff, it's all just mythic mumbo-jumbo, right? Maybe so, but you're the one basing your claim on said legend. And what we saw here does not fully fulfill it, does it? No, but... Consequently, you cannot rightfully claim that this is the Founder's Orb. He's asleep again. What's gotten into him? Why is Mr. Wright doing this?
It would appear that Mr. Wright has lost a few of his marbles.
That couldn't be further from the truth, Your Honor.
In any case, I believe this is a good time for a recess. Both sides will have 20 minutes to prepare. I ask that all arguments be ready by then. Oh, Mr. Wright, you do well to wash up and find your missing marbles by then, too.
May 17, District, Court. Defendant Lobby number 3. Mr. Wright is sure acting funny. I mean, he's famous for going out on a limb, but that last assertion was just plain crazy. It's either a bluff or a Hail Mary. Either way, it doesn't make much sense. Maybe there's something we're missing here. Although, he seemed perfectly normal when we spoke earlier. Apollo, I have a bad feeling about this. I'm going to go check up on him. What's going on with you, Mr. Wright? So remember what he said? He said, remember our little chat. He's threatening him. Hey, Private Justice. Oh, Sarge. I forgot to mention something. On the night of Papa's murder, a strange thing happened. Oh? But why are you only telling me about it now? Well, I didn't say anything about it before because I thought Papa's death was an accident. But now that we know otherwise, I figured it might be important. There's still more to this case. When I left my room and lost consciousness, I passed out right, here. That's right above the coffee bar. But when I came to, someone was pushing my wheelchair. What? I was so scared I beat a hasty retreat, fast as my wheels could take me. Do you know who it was? No. It was pitch black. Plus, I fled to my room so fast I didn't even have a chance to turn on the lights. Maybe it was your father. No, he would have said something to me. Besides, I'd have known if it was him. So then it could have been your father's real killer. My thoughts exactly. But you didn't report this to the police. It didn't occur to me. It's okay. You were obviously still upset, so don't beat yourself up over it. Apollo, this could be really important information. I think the act of pushing Sarge's wheelchair could be part of some bigger scheme. It's hard to see why else the killer would have done such a thing. I guess I should have take her statement down as evidence. She fled to her room when she realized someone had moved her while she'd been unconscious on the second floor. Oh, welcome back, Athena. What's with the long face? How'd it go, Mr. Wright? What should I... Athena? Oops, sorry. Zoned out there for a second. The recess is almost over, so let's go, haha. What was that all about? Yeah, what's going on here? May 17, District Court. Courtroom number 6.
Alright, court is once again back in session. Now, Mr. Wright, about that last objection you raised.
We the plaintiffs still believe that the defense has yet to be sufficiently prove its case. They claim that, according to legend, the Founder's Orb would bestow spiritual power. Yet the relic in question has failed to do so. Therefore, it failed its own test.
Alright, I see.
He's sticking with that ridiculous argument. Furthermore, even if it is the Founder's Orb, it can't be awarded to the Defiant Dragons. After all, they were the ones who killed Dr. Buff.
Objection!
What are you talking about? That was already proven to be false. There are no grounds for asserting the Defiant Dragons murdered the Doctor. Oh, but I'm afraid there are, Mr. Justice. Your Honor, I would like to present new testimony to this court. Testimony will show that That's Arbol did in fact kill Dr. Buff. What?
Very well, you may call your witness,
But if he had killed him, he would have taken his briefcase with him. He wouldn't have left it there. I guess Mr. Wright found another new angle. What new testimony could there be this late in the game? Oh, great. This idiot is testifying again. Fellow citizens, it is I, Paul Addison, the once and future representative of the people. Geez, not him again. My client divulged new information to me during the recess. He remembered something he saw, you see. Something crucial to this case. How very convenient. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I want to hear what he has to say. It's gonna be full of BS. That's his crime. It was around 11 at night, and I was out in a mobile meet and greet around the village. That's when I saw Dr. Buff being murdered from outside his study window. Mr. Arball snuck up from behind and struck him on the head. His weapon of choice, a suitcase. A big, strong man like him could easily swing a heavy suitcase onto someone's head. You saw the murder as it happened, and you're just telling us now because? I saved the best for last. It's a tactic known to all the political greats. No. The murder weapon was a complete mystery, but my client's eyewitness account has finally brought it into light.
According to the autopsy report, Dr. Buff was struck in the head by the corner of some object. I suppose that could very well be the corner of a suitcase.
Objection!
But eyewitness testimony isn't the same as hard evidence. Oh? I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. What's that supposed to mean? We have physical evidence too. A luminol test revealed. Oh, great. The doctor's blood in Mr. Arball's suitcase. But why didn't he take it with him? Really, this makes no sense. Dats didn't do it. But how does that prove Mr. Arball used it as a weapon?
Objection!
He's gonna say it's his suitcase. You should know the answer to that, Mr. Justice. Since you know as well as I that the suitcase is covered in his fingerprints. Ah! Forgot we dusted it right in front of Emma. Turnabout terror strikes again.
This is quite convincing testimony and evidence. Nevertheless, you may proceed with your cross-examination, Mr. Justice.
Okay, this is it. This is it. He probably did it. That's his crime. Oh, you see how the music is just getting pumped up more? Because we're near the end. It was around 11 at night, and I was out in a mobile meet and greet around the village.
Hold it!
11 at night. You were on a so-called mobile meet and greet at 11 at night. Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's a perfect time because everyone is at home. You should have seen how the villagers' eyes teared up when they heard what I had to say. Look at how tired he is. He didn't sleep. With tears of frustration, no doubt. You weren't riding around in your palanquin? That's right. Some village idiot reported me to the police. I've been banned from using it after dark. No wonder. What with all the noise he makes. So what exactly do you see then? That's when I saw Dr. Buff being murdered from outside his study window.
Hold it!
Sounds like you witnessed something rather shocking. Indeed, I didn't even believe it at first. I mean, a vicious murder in Karain. There haven't been many murders there, I take it. If I'm elected, I promise you that such a terrible tragedy will never happen again. A vote for me is a vote to banish murder from our beloved Karain village. Yeah, good luck with that. There's already been a murder in Karain village beforehand. Mr. Addison, Wimperson, please tell the court what you saw at the scene of the crime. Mr. Arball snuck up from behind and struck him on the head.
Hold it!
He snuck up from behind. So you're saying that the doctor never even realized Mr. Arball was there? That's right. He was utterly absorbed in a book. I see. What did you see Mr. Arball do next? He climbed up the bookshelf ladder and dumped a bunch of books down on the body. I believe he was trying to make it look like an accident. But that idiot didn't realize I could see everything from outside the window. Well, why didn't you say this before? One of those statements doesn't feel right. Your Honor, I believe this witness made an important statement just about how the doctor was reading a book. Or that's an idiot? Oh man. The doctor was reading a book. The doctor was reading a book at the time of the murder. That's vital testimony.
Very well, the witness will please
Please add that statement to his testimony. I know what the answer is here. The doctor was standing in front of the bookshelves, absorbed in a book. Look at this. The doctor's poor eyesight meant he couldn't read anything without these. They were found on his desk.
Objection!
Got him. The doctor was standing in front of the bookshelves, absorbed in a book, you say. I'm sorry, but it seems your testimony is completely unreliable. That's quite a bold statement. Well, let's hear you back it up. I challenge you to prove that I'm anything but 100% reliable. You're a politician, you're not reliable. It would be my pleasure. Lately, it seems the doctor's eyes got so bad he needed reading glasses. However, his reading glasses were over on his desk. So you see, there's no way he could have been reading in front of the bookshelves. I'm sorry, Mr. Addison Wimperson, but I'm going to have to ask you to explain this discrepancy to the voting public. He's probably going to say Dad's put the glasses on the table. You what? I'll explain it, you lowly cur. I simply made a mistake, you see. The doctor was actually sitting at his desk when Mr. Arbol hit him over the head. But then the doctor would have been facing him. Surely he would have seen him and tried to run. The Dr. Buff was nodding off. I could tell because his eyes were closed and he wasn't moving. He's lying. Sounds more like what you would do. Then how do you explain the fact that he was struck in the back of the head? Isn't that something that should be impossible from the front of the desk? Oh, about that. He bowed his head when he nodded off. That's when he was clobbered.
So that's what you saw. Well, Mr. Justice, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable explanation to me.
No, it doesn't.
Do you have any problem with the proposal that the doctor was struck while nodding off?
Oh, look at what Sarge's name is here. Do you see what Sarge's name? Army Buff. Army Buff. And that's also why she was ranting about capitalism, because she said that her mother was ex-Russian army. Probably ex-Soviet army. A big problem. There is a problem. A very big problem. The witness statement doesn't hold up on the slightest bit of scrutiny.
Is that so? Then will you please show this court what evidence you have to justify this?
Gladly, Your Honor. problem with the witness's claim that he saw the doctor nodding off. Wait a second. The window, right? The bookshelf.
A diagram of the study.
The bookshelf was blocking the view. Mr. Addison Wimperson allegedly viewed the murder from here. And the doctor was allegedly nodding off here. But from his vantage point, the bookcase would have blocked the witness's line of sight.
Why, yes, I believe you're right.
But
Objection!
the fact remains, my client knew that the suitcase was the murder weapon. So he definitely has first-hand knowledge of the crime scene. Actually, it's implicating him. I'm afraid I have to agree with you there, Mr. Wright. But then we have to ask ourselves, from what vantage point did he see the murder? Exactly. Yup, he doesn't realize what he just did. I called it too. He just basically implicated him. If he didn't see him dozing off, but he knew that the murder weapon was the suitcase, how else could he have known that unless he's the killer? He basically just destroyed his own client. What are you insinuating, Mr. Justice? From what vantage point could Mr. Addison Wimperson have seen the dozing doctor? Once we determine that, I believe we'll finally see the truth behind this incident. The witness saw the murder from right here. He was inside here.
Take that!
You've got to be kidding.
But that's...
It is indeed. But everything only makes sense if the witness was there in the study. Inside the study. But that's the scene of the crime. I know. Mr. Addison Wimperson, the man who claims to be a witness to the murder, was most certainly in that very room. Apollo, are you suggesting... Mr. Addison Wimperson, weren't you the one who actually swung that suitcase?
Objection!
What you're proposing is ludicrous. My client is a small, thin man, whereas Mr. Arabal has the, musculature to pull it off. He has a point. I gave up trying to lift that thing after one go. That's right. He's the one who could have, who could have lifted such a heavy object. Wait a second. What if the suitcase was near the entrance? And he kicked it off the ramp? Because he could have done that. You don't have to be strong to knock it off the ramp. And it fell on his head. Now, do you understand? The rebel Dats Arabal is the doctor's killer. As long as the suitcase is the murder weapon, the suspicion falls entirely on Dats. You have to poke a hole in Mr. Wright's argument somehow, Apollo. Oh, I will. And with his own technique, no less. If Mr. Addison Wimperson couldn't swing the suitcase around, we'll just have to consider another way he could have used it as a murder weapon. Instead, I'm going to turn this case on its head, Mr. Wright, just like you taught me. You talk big, Mr. Justice, but do you have what it takes?
Well, this should be interesting.
He probably knocked it off the balcony. That's what I think. The catwalk. He knocked it off that and knocked it on his head. Mr. Addison Wimperson's testimony has been filled with one inaccuracy after another. First, he stated Dr. Buck was in front of the bookshelves. Now he claims that the doctor was sitting at his desk. So where was the victim really when he was killed? Also, where was his killer? And how was the murder weapon really used?
So the important thing here is the position of the victim and the killer relative to each other.
Yes, Your Honor. If they were positioned in a certain way, it would be possible to use a suitcase as a weapon without lifting a finger. You can't mean... I would ask the court to recall the study's layout. It's quite distinctive, as you can see. Now, if Dr. Buff were sitting in a certain spot, and his killer was at the certain other spot, the coffee. The coffee on the book. He was drinking coffee at that time. The suitcase would become a weapon anyone could use. He knocked it on his head. I called it. I got it right.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Where was Dr. Buff's killer at the time of the crime?
Right here.
Take that!
There!
Oh, that's... This should wrap things up nice and pretty for you, Mr. Wright. I would ask the court to recall the study's layout. But this time, instead of thinking in 2 dimensions, let's think in 3. Only then can we clearly see the killer's method at work. Wow, I'm so happy right now. I called it. I literally called it before we got to the part. I called it. I called it how it happened. The killer didn't have to swing the suitcase. If he used gravity to his advantage, that is, anyone could do that. That's right. It was the plaintiff, one Paul Addison Wimperson, who used the suitcase. He pushed it from the 2nd floor. Oh. And it sent hurtling down onto Dr. Buff, who was sitting at the coffee bar. Yeah, this is what happened, but I will say, though, if that suitcase was full of dumbbells and that fell on his head, then this would have been way messier. This would not have been that little blood. Like, his entire head would have been gushing of blood. If that suitcase, because that suitcase has dumbbells inside it to work out, if that fell onto his head, that would have been really bad. His head would have been gushing blood. It wouldn't have been, but it is what happened. The psychology book had been at the coffee, bar, no doubt. The doctor must have set it down there after he finished reading it, or the like. But his blood got on it, which is why the killer fought to hide it in that mountain of books.
Objection!
That's quite an entertaining theory you have there, Mr. Justice. But there's no evidence that the murder took place at the coffee bar. I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Wright. I say that evidence of the murder occurring at the coffee bar exists. The evidence does exist, and I'm going to show you. You are. This right here is proof that the murder took place at the coffee bar. The copy on the book.
Take that!
Yup, that's it. This brown stain was determined to be coffee. What's more, it was still a bit damp when we saw it yesterday morning. Ah. One look at the book speaks volumes, I'm afraid, Mr. Wright. It tells us the doctor was having a cup of coffee at the coffee door. That's when the suitcase came hurtling down, striking him on the head, causing both his blood and his coffee to splatter onto it. Ha! Well, Mr. Addison Wimperson. What motive could I possibly have to kill Dr. Buff? And there it is, that final excuse cornered killers are so fond of. Well, the doctor never returned your crystal to you, did he? Instead, he hid it in the cave ruins. Telling him that the Defiant Dragons were a dangerous bunch was a huge blunder. All it did was make him hide the orb. Your lie came back to bite you in the end. Even worse, the doctor saw the news reports, so he knew the relic was the Founder's orb. Being the conscientious researcher he was, he knew he had to return it to its rightful place. And that means keeping it out of your hands. Ah! You were so angry that he refused to return the relic to you. That you killed him with your own hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Addison Wimperson? That is...
Hold it!
Of Apollo. Please don't accuse my client of murder. Huh? What do you mean, don't accuse him? Why would you even say that, Mr. Wright? What I meant was, he's a promising politician with a bright future ahead of him. It's in our nation's best interest to avoid burdening him with the taint of scandal. Say what? Right, you better do something to change the current courtroom climate, or I'll be charged with murder. And you know what will happen to her if that happens. Her. He's being threatened. It's Trucy. He's threatening to kill Trucy. Trucy vanished. Trucy's not here. Right, I just realized that. She's nowhere to be seen. What's he talking about? Well, I can ponder that later. For now, he kidnapped Trucy. Mr. Wright, you can't possibly... Mr. Arabal is the killer. Are you really going to send an innocent man to prison? I thought you were better than that. This is like Matthew Ungard 2.0. This is exactly what this is. Anyone... Matthew Ungard was a, client that Pheonix had in the original trilogy of games, and he was a murderer. And what he did was he kidnapped Maya, and he basically, or his hitman kidnapped Maya, and he basically forced Pheonix to defend him, even though he knew he was guilty. Well, Mr. Wright, answer me. Mr. Wright, what in the world's going on here? If you won't say anything, then... Mr. Addison Whipperson, the defense hereby accuses you... Apollo, wait. Not you too, Athena. It's just, I wasn't sure whether I should say anything, but... During that last recess, when I went to check on Mr. Wright, I overheard something I shouldn't have. I trust Maya is unharmed. Oh, it's Maya! I can't really say. But just remember, if I'm arrested or fail to obtain the treasure, there will be consequences. Consequences of the worst kind, if you catch my drift. Ugh. Relax. All you have to do is ensure I get my hands on that relic. I must deliver it to my benefactor at all costs. What do they want that relic for anyway? It's something to do with an old legend. My patron seeks the great powers that be granted to whoever solves its secret. It's probably the Justice Minister of Karain. That's probably who's doing it. Maya, as in Maya Fey, yes, the boss's legendary former assistant. Miss Fey's being held hostage. So it seems. Why didn't you tell me as soon as you heard this? Sorry, it's just Mr. Wright spotted me before I could slip away, and made me promise not to tell you. He said it would make things more difficult if you found out. If things weren't already hard enough. So that's why Mr. Wright was acting so strange. I had no idea. This must have been excruciating for him. Think, Justice. There's gotta be something, you can do.
Mr. Justice, about that last statement of yours. I believe you were in the middle of accusing the plaintiff of murdering Dr. Buff. Would you care to continue?
Heck, I'm sorry, Apollo. I'm really, really sorry.
What's gotten into you two?
If I accused the slime bag, I put Miss Fey's life in jeopardy. It seems you finally caught on. I'm far too important to be accused of murder. Ugh! After all, our nation's future rests squarely on my shoulders. Either I give up or... Once I present the crystal to my patron, my victory is assured. Then one day, I'll become president, and then king. I'll have every politician in my command. Now retract your accusations. I can't kowtow to him, but... Defense would... It would like to retract the previous Is that Dirk? Apollo. The Dirk. I don't know what's going on here, but a lawyer should never look the way you do right now, with defeat and resignation written all over your face.
A dragon never yields.
Even when wounded, a dragon bites down hard and never lets go till its dying breath. It glares, it roars, and it latches its jaws firmly onto its prey till the bitter end. That's what lawyers do to get to the truth. Dirk, a dragon never yields. He's right. It's all over if I give up now. If Mr. Wright's hands are tied, it's up to me to do what must be done. He saved my neck so many times. Now, it's my turn to save his. Dirk, thanks for that wake-up call. Heh, now that's the face of a lawyer you've got there, son. Where there's a will, there's a way. And if I'm going to find the way to save Miss Fey, and see that justice is served... I'll put everything together now. That scumbag is holding Miss Fey hostage to ensure he gets the orb for his patron. And it seems said patron believes in the orb's legend. Thing is, the founder did appear when the orb was exposed to fire, the legend said. If the legend is true, then we've already solved the riddle, right? We definitely solved the riddle, and yet we still don't understand the part. No, not yet. We have not solved the riddle yet. The legend says the founder will bestow great spiritual power when she returns. Well, if that's true, it means we haven't solved the whole riddle yet. But how can that be? We're missing something. Wait, maybe the part about the founder returning should be taken literally. How would it be possible for a dead person to return to the world of living? Channeling. That's why he needs Maya. The founder can return through channeling. Oh, I know. There is a way for the dead to return, spirit channeling. Of course, you'd have to know what the founder looks like first. But the orb has revealed her face to us, so what if it's a sign that we should channel her? Given the facts in order to solve the riddle and receive the founder's power, I'd need a spirit medium. He can't kill Maya because he needs her. A medium is needed to obtain the power. The ability for a medium to channel spirits is the final key to unlocking the orb's secret. That means Mr. Addison Whitmerson's patron will need one too. And once that slimy politician realizes that he won't be able to lay a finger on Miss Fey. Everything's going to be okay, Mr. Wright. Because Mr. Paulette Wimperson can't afford to harm a hair on Miss Fey's head. Huh? Mr. Addison Wimperson, it seems you've chosen the wrong person to take hostage. What do you mean? Your patron seeks to solve the orb's riddle, and thereby receive great spiritual power. However, only Maya Fey can truly give them what they really want. She can. What do you mean, only Maya Fey? Think about what the return of the founder really means. We should have considered it more literally. After all, the orb was made in the kingdom of Karain, the birthplace of spirit mediums. Ah, I think I see now. You need to know what deceased looks like in order to channel them. But in Karainism, depicting the face of the founder is taboo. However, her true face was hidden in the orb. So maybe the orb is telling us to try channeling the founder. Exactly. Through a spirit medium, the founder can quite literally return. And if the legend is true, the founder just might bestow spiritual power on someone when she does. It's like when Pearls imbued my Magatama with spiritual power. If a human could be imbued with such power in a similar manner, it is said the founder possesses immense spiritual power. Such a great feat would not necessarily be beyond her. Wait a second, then the legend is true. Do you understand now, Mr. Addison Wimperson? You are holding hostage a final key to unlocking the orb's secret. And if anything were to happen to her, the riddle would remain unsolved forever. Ah! There's always Pearl, Faye. I could simply ask her to help. If she wants money, I'd have plenty to offer. She's not the kind of person to be tempted by material gain. And she certainly wouldn't help you if anything were to happen to her cousin. Herc. Or maybe you'd like to go ask the Queen of Karain to channel the Founder, for you. He could, but he'd probably get executed for requesting such a thing. It's over. Now confess you killed Dr. Buff, didn't you? It wasn't supposed to end this way.
Mr. Addison Wimperson, are you admitting to committing the crime?
You're my lawyer, right? Do something. It's true that I'm your lawyer, and as such, it's my job to defend you. However, defending my client isn't the only duty a lawyer has. There's something else that's equally as important, finding the truth. And that is finding the truth. Yup, I knew that from all the Ace Attorney games. What? Mr. Addison Wimperson, you have sought to twist the truth in the dirtiest of ways. I was complicit in your hostage taking, but in a way, I was being held hostage too. Even so, there's still hope for me to make things right. And I owe it to you, Apollo. Mr. Wright. I can't allow a murderer to walk away scot-free. Therefore, Mr. Addison Wimperson, I must resign as your attorney. No! Does this mean I'm under arrest? No! Why is he so confident now? Well, I have nothing to confess. What? I've said I've nothing to confess, and I don't, and I won't, especially not to a plebeian like you. This guy doesn't know when to give up. Besides, there's no truth to all these allegations. I mean, look at the suitcase. You won't find a single print of mine on it. All that means is, you wiped them off, taking care to leave Mr. Arabals. As many a great politician has said before me. No comment. In that case, try switching things up, Apollo. Look at the situation from a different angle. He pushed it, he kicked it, or he used the wheelchair. Could he have used the wheelchair to push it? Is there really nothing that points to the suitcase being dropped from above? Evidence that points to the suitcase being dropped from the second floor. There is. If the killer pushed the suitcase from the second floor hallway over the coffee bar, that would place him right around here. Maybe. Just maybe. Thought of something, Apollo? I believe this piece of evidence to be connected to the dropping of the suitcase. Army statement. She fled to her room when she realized someone had moved her while she'd been unconscious on the second floor. When she came to, someone was pushing her wheelchair. Frightened, she quickly fled to the room. This.
Take that!
That appears to be a statement, but how is that related to the case?
On the night of the murder, Your Honor, Miss Army Buff physically left her room. That's when she saw the doctor burning the orb and subsequently passed out. Right above the coffee bar. But with her there in her wheelchair, the killer wouldn't have been able to drop the suitcase down onto the doctor. Good point. However, according to Sarge, she woke up just as someone was trying to move her in her wheelchair. Someone was pushing my wheelchair. What? I was so scared I beat a hasty retreat as fast as my wheels could take me. She must have been in the killer's way and had to be moved. Isn't that right, Mr. Addison Wimperson? Urgh. And if the killer had pushed the wheelchair with his bare hands, we may yet find the conclusive evidence we need. Exactly. Fortunately for us, that evidence slipped right through the killer's fingers. If only he'd been able to hold on to it just a little longer. But now, he is neither able to discord nor alter it. His prints are on the wheelchair. Honestly, that piece of evidence wasn't even supposed to be here in this courtroom today. And yet, It looks like sometimes things do get better. But this wasn't supposed to happen. No? Well, too bad. Because the evidence that sped away from you that night has come back to haunt you. Right here at this very trial. Your Honor, the defense's final piece of evidence is on this person. Army buff. Yep.
Take that!
That's... On the night of the murder, Sarge passed out, only to come and find that someone was pushing her wheelchair. That's when she fled back into her room. She didn't physically see a single soul after that. Not until Athena drew her out through that therapy session, that is. While the killer was able to wipe the prints on the suitcase off, the same can't be said for the prints that got away. My fellow Karanians. Well, Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson, try to explain your way out of this one. The podium is all yours. But Paul Addison, savior of Karain. I am not a crook. My political career, it can't end like this. I'm destined for great things. Something's wrong. This isn't real. It's a dream, no, a nightmare. Oh. Huh? Wait, what, really? What is it, a game or something? Oh, no way! Bonsai. Paul Addison arrested on murder charges and stripped of his electoral win. Oh, man. No, please. Wait. Don't go. No, please. Whoa. Grandpa! That was one of my favorite breakdowns ever in an Ace Attorney game.
Mr. Addison Wimperson, are you alright? But bailiff, get him to the first aid station, on the double. Well, this was yet another unexpected turn of events. In light of everything that's been revealed, it seems the relic is indeed the Founder's Orb. And it seems Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson can be considered a suspect in Dr. Buff's murder.
Apollo, I want to thank you for everything. Thanks to you, I didn't have to keep bending the truth. I don't know what I would have done without you. Don't mention it. You were amazing today, Apollo. Well, I couldn't have done it without Dirk.
A dragon never yields.
Even when wounded, a dragon bites down hard and never lets go till its dying breath. It glares, it roars, and it latches its jaws firmly onto its prey till the bitter end. That's what lawyers do to get to the truth. A dragon never yields. Every lawyer should take that to heart.
As it seems, both sides no further objections. Would Dirk Sadmati please take the stand? This court awards the orb to the Defiant Dragons per the stated transfer agreement. Should the Kingdom of Karain, claim ownership, the matter may have to be deliberated in court all over again.
Oh, great.
I just hope I shall pray that I'm not the judge presiding over that one.
Indeed, a trial like that might spark an international incident. Still, there are bigger and more momentous things astir in the air. The revolution. Dirk's really serious about this.
This court is adjourned.
May 17. District Court. Defendant Lobby. Number 3. Nice work, son. We've finally broken through the last obstacle on the road to revolution. Revolution? It just doesn't seem real. Yes, well, to think you actually defeated the Fighting Phoenix. All I can say is, that's my boy. Ha 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 ha. Well, Mr. Wright did have his hands tied. Who knows if I'd have won if he'd been able to fight me head-on. I see it more like you saved Mr. Wright. Saved him. Yeah, remember what he said. He didn't have to bend the truth anymore, and it was all thanks to you. I don't know about that. Still, I guess it's kind of nice to be appreciated. Mr. Dirk. Now that the Holy Mother's face has been revealed, are you going to have a spirit medium try channeling her? I, for one, would love to see the return of the legendary founder. Yeah, just think about it. Being able to speak to someone right out of the history books. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. What? Why? A face isn't enough. You also need the true name of the one you're attempting to channel. Alright. Pearl mentioned something like that. And the founder's true name is only known to the priestesses who's been crowned queen. In short, the only living person who knows it is the current queen of Karain, Garan. Oh, so without her help, we won't be seeing the founder anytime soon. Hisk. That's no fun. The founder's form has appeared from within. It seems only the queen knows the founder's real name. So Dirk, what will you do now? First, I'll start by tracing the route from which the orb came into Dr. Buff's hands. Since we now know it was Paul Addison that asked the doctor to study it, isn't he the one who stole it? No, a political nobody like him couldn't get anywhere near the orb, let alone steal it. He must have had inside help. My money is on someone connected to the royal family. Oh right, you said something to that effect, back in the cave. Whoever it may be, we need to expose their dirty schemes to the light of day. Well, I'm sure Mr. Wright has plenty of information, courtesy of his dirty client. He may be able to shed some light on this. Private Justice.
That was fine work you did at the trial today. You did your sergeant proud.
Back at you, Sarge. It took real courage to leave your room like that. It's all thanks to you and your corpse woman, Sykes. With my siege defense over, I can finally sally forth.
But the battle's only just begun. One for me, and for me alone to fight.
To lose your mother, and then your father. What a terrible thing to endure. Yeah. And being wheelchair-bound doesn't help. Private Justice. I've been thinking. It's about time I stood on my own 2 feet. After all, I no longer have Papa to coddle me. Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow. Take a good look, soldier. This is one small step for man. And one giant leap for me. Hold my drone for me, would you, Private Justice? Yes, sir. What is she up to? Is she gonna stand? Whoa. Also, for somebody who hasn't stood up in that long, like, if somebody hasn't stood up in that long, they might actually not even be able to stand up again. Even if they could. She's standing. Well, what's this, Sarge? Your legs, they're... The doctor told me I was ready to walk again months ago. But if I admitted I could walk, I knew I'd have to leave the house. So I faked it. Makes sense, but... I kept pretending I couldn't walk. But I know Papa is watching over me now, and I'd hate to disappoint him. So, from this day forth, I'm going to march forward on my own 2 feet. What a brave kid, trying to move forward like this. But it must be so hard this soon after her father's death. Don't you ever stop. You just keep on walking, comrade. Stay brave, because there will be days when you'll want to stop. But I have faith you'll find a way to muster that strength to push through them. Yeah, you can do it. Hey, Daddy's back. Mr. Wright, what's that look on his face for? Oh, Apollo. Is everything alright with Miss Faye? She's safe, for now. Well then, we better go save her, quick. Where is she anyway? I'm afraid I have some bad news. Huh? Maya's not here in the States. She's still in Karain. And she's still being held hostage by the mastermind behind this whole thing. It's the Justice Minister, probably. The mastermind. That's right. Paul Addison Wimperson was nothing more than a pawn. Maya's true abductors is in the Kingdom of Karain. Well, what? I don't understand, Mr. Wright. What in the world's going on over there? But as shocking as that news was, it was only the beginning. The beginning of something big. Big enough to shake the Karain to its very core. Revolution. I was being swept up in the mighty wave that nothing could stop. Of course, at the time, I had no idea what the days ahead had in store for us. To be continued. So this case isn't over yet. We're going to Karain, and there's apparently going to be another case. Now, so that was actually pretty good. So this is the longest case in the game, and it's the best case also. So thank you guys for watching. Had a lot of fun on that case. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. See you guys.